What's up, YouTube? Going for a quick little drive in the RSX. Figured it would make a good short video. Talk to y'all about some of the different questions I've been getting on the build and the parts I used. I know I went over it some as I was building it, but I figured it would be good to kind of go over everything in one video and kind of show you and maybe kind of explain a little bit how and why I used the parts that I did, and I guess kind of also give a little bit of a review on the parts that I used. It's a JDM transmission on this car. It was I bought it off of eBay. It was like I paid, I think, $11.99 for it. Came out of Dallas, shipped. 02 to 04, non-LSD. It had a 5.062 final drive. It's got a very similar gear ratio to an EP3, except for it's got a really short first gear, which isn't really a good thing, but it isn't necessarily a bad thing either. Funny about it is the second gear seems to be, well, even on paper, it's really long. And again, it has its good sides and its bad sides. If I was to do it again, I would buy it again. I would do it again. We'll see how it holds up. I don't know if anybody else has actually used this transmission. I don't see anybody talking about it. So far, I love it. I haven't heard it yet. I guess the next thing would be the clutch. You're gonna laugh at me, but this was sort of a budget thing for me. I wasn't trying to spend 10 grand and build it over 2 years. I used the same clutch I had on it before I made it all-wheel drive. So far, it does not care. It's like a stage 4, fairly inexpensive. Oh wait, no, very inexpensive single disc XTD clutch or something like that. It's holding up like a boss. And coming from the all-wheel drive background of Evos, Eclipses, and stuff like that, I've never been a big fan of like twin discs and stuff like that, just for the fact that they grab so hard, they break stuff when they grab. Sometimes. It just depends on what you want. If you're building a car for a full-out race car, yeah, that's probably what you need to do. But if you're going to drive it every day and take it to work and do all that kind of stuff, then it's unnecessary. So I used the 07 rear diff out of a CRV that has the ramp assembly, and then also used I used the stock element. I mean, yeah, they were element axles. I believe they're driver side. Of course, two of those, two driver side element axles. I used a stock drive shaft out of a Honda Element. Now, one thing I'll tell you about that is if you try to do exactly what I do, make sure your drive shaft is 77.3 inches. That's what they're supposed to be. Mine came 78. Don't know why. I had to tweak it to make it work. But if it was 77.3, it would have been perfect. CRV subframe, nothing weird about that. I actually do have a viscous for a Plan B, but it's not installed and don't really have any intentions on installing it right now. I have a PTU upgrade kit in the rear diff. I had said in a comment that I don't know if I'd go that direction if I did it again. And I want to clarify that because I don't want y'all to think that Gravy Build's bracket is bad or anything like that. It's not bad. It's good. It bolts right on. The reason I say that is because when I first planned on doing this, I didn't know how to weld and I didn't have a welding machine. During the build, I said, you know what? I don't want to have anybody do work for me on this car. So I bought a welding machine and learned how to weld enough to do what I had to do. ever going to go 5, 6, 700 horsepower, I don't think you're going to have a problem. And even if you did have a problem, you could just put a bar in over his diff mount. His diff mount is cheaper and is direct bolt on. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying, kind of considering where my car is right now and the kind of torque it puts down with this final drive, I'll probably need to either add a bar, or if I did it again, I would consider one that has the bar.
Height, just where I want it, get everything done.
Put in exactly how I want it, then go get an alignment. I don't see any point doing it and then changing stuff up, so that would just be a waste. But that's the only things left to do on the car. I've been driving it. The car it drives great. It's just like, honestly, the car feels just like it did before we did the all-wheel drive. I'm super happy with how it turned out. But
I'd probably just say, because the video may be very bouncy, just we have crappy roads in Louisiana.
yeah, I know. You want me to say that?
I'm just saying you could.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
they might be like, why does it look so bouncy?
Yeah.
It's not.
Let me just say, the car doesn't ride like a hunk of crap. It's just our roads suck. The whole state has bad roads. So, it doesn't really reflect how the car rides. It's on BC coils and they're great. I like them. I do have the stiffness turned up in the rear right now also. So, but if you guys have any other questions on it, let me know. If it's enough to make a whole nother video of it, I will. If not, then I'll just answer them as they come. But
I know you also wanted to mention about a guy you talked to 2 years ago.
oh yeah, I was gonna say I don't know. He didn't ask for any kind of props, or I'm trying to think how that was. Like how I was gonna say that. I was just kind of gonna give a shout out to a guy who, in case you guys were wondering how I kind of came up with, because I haven't really seen many people do it like this. Usually they have an LSD, a viscous, a bunch of other supporting stuff when they do this all-wheel drive. Funny enough, I was actually going to buy, there was a guy on a local group who had accumulated a bunch of parts, and I was going to buy it from him, all his stuff that he had gotten, and he decided, well, I was kind of dragging my feet because I didn't know enough about it yet, and then he had kind of decided to keep it too and ended up moving away. But his name is Brad Perez. You can look him up on here. He actually is building his also. But he's kind of, and I'm sure there may have been other people to do it like this before. I don't know who they are. But he's the one who brought it to my attention that you could use all that OEM stuff. So, I mean, basically this car does not have a single, drivetrain wise, nothing's aftermarket. It's all Honda factory parts.